I can take up to 30 to 45 actually there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Again, welcome everyone to the bi-weekly GT call. In the past couple of weeks, we've been working on the usual, primarily mobile and the bridge. I think there have been a few changes in Meet, although I can't put my finger on them right now. Let's just do the tour as usual. Damien, would you like to talk a little bit about what you've done in the past couple of weeks?
I was wondering, did we mention the Debian stuff that we already pushed it? I don't remember.
You can mention it again just in case.
Okay, so yeah, I wrote a long email to the mailing list to explain in detail. So currently the packages for the GTMeet, Video Bridge, Gcofo, Ggassi doesn't depend on each other. So they can be installed on different machines. And the GTMeet package was renamed to GTMeet Web. And the new GTMeet package is actually a meta package which refers just to particular versions. And the version of that meta package is used to tag all the repos. So we have like a connection which are the versions that were deployed and tested by the torture. Also, the torture is tagged, and also the new thing that I've added is for the GTMeet web package. Currently, if you install it by default, it will install, if there is available Java 8, it will install with Jetty configured to serve the Meet app. If there is Nginx installed, it will configure Nginx. And what I've added is, if there is an Apache installed, it will also configure Apache. That's it.
That's great. Thanks, Damien. Pavel, would you like to talk a little bit about your work in the past couple weeks?
I was looking into running callstats on React Native, and finally we have failed to run it because it depends on Web Crypto API, which is missing, and callstats team promised to take a look at that in near future. After that, I switched to adding Bosch to Ggassi because we need that for our infrastructure. And first I tried to port GC to SMAC 4, but it seems like quite a big effort. And we're not sure how much it would take. So I took another approach of adding Bosch to SMAC 3, which is on our branch. Through the JBosch library, but now I found some issues with it. Like it can get stuck with Bosch requests because it keeps only one request open at a time, and if this request does not result in immediate response, then it can block the whole stack. And yeah, I'm looking into fixing this problem right now in JBosch.
Gus, I wonder, is that something, are you aware if that, I'm not sure if you're mainly involved with OpenFire or whether you also follow SMAC, but do you know if...
Sorry.
Can you say it again, sorry?
I am mainly involved with OpenFire, but I do speak to Flo, who is the primary author of SMAC nowadays. SMAC 3 is really, really outdated. I don't recommend that you guys continue to use it. If there is if there is an effort to be made, I'd advise you guys to update to SMAC 4.
Well, the issue is that for some reason that eludes me, there were a lot of architectural changes in SMAC 4, so it is actually quite a big effort for us to move to SMAC 4. And I actually think I had a discussion with about that with Flo, and did tell him about these things, but I'm not sure he was very interested. So anyways, I think we're stuck with SMAC 3 for quite a while.
I did a SMAC 3 to 4 upgrade in Spark, so perhaps I could help out if needed. I know it's a big change. I don't know why that API got updated or changed that much. I think what you see there is a change of ownership as well. Someone putting his own stamp on a project. It is a major version update, of course. That being said, SMAC 3 does not get any love any longer, and it hasn't gotten any love for a long time. So unless you can secure it in some other way, yeah, I'm
secure it.
I'm not sure if you. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to piggyback on that client connection, or even that that library simply being in your stack might be an issue at some point. I know that in SMAC 4 there was a security advisory a couple of weeks ago. Those aren't even evaluated on SMAC 3, I think. So at some point, I strongly suggest that you guys do look at other alternatives, either SMAC 4 or I'm not sure if you guys actually need a client connection. Perhaps you could do it a bit more low level with a simple XMPP parser. I haven't looked at your code in that amount of detail, but perhaps there are other options as well.
Well, we use that in the Jitsi client, and then we consume the whole thing by importing modules of the Jitsi client in other projects like Jigassi, our SIP gateway. Mm-hmm. So it's not going low level would be even more effort. Right now, SMAC 3 and backporting Bosch to SMAC 3 just sounds like the easiest approach. And we have a very limited use case, so I'm not sure. I don't think we'd have any urgency to move to SMAC 4, but yep, I understand
That's I can understand that. I just wanted to warn you, yep, to make sure that you know that SMAC 3 really does not get any kind of development support nowadays.
Yep, got it. Okay.
Yeah, and also the problem I was talking about, it actually exists in JBoss library, so it doesn't matter if we use SMAC 4 or 3.
Right.
Yeah, just
okay. Thanks, Pavel. Christo?
So I've been working on the remote control feature, and also the so it turned out that the Strof caps plugin is not working correctly at all. So now we have our own implementation. It's going to be committed maybe today. Yeah, I have some progress with the remote control. Now we are handling all the events, and yeah, but we have a lot of work there as well.
One thing that you also tried, and I'd like to ask people about opinions here, is trying to do an always on top window, like many other applications have done through the years, Skype, BlueJeans. And one of the things that we were trying to do is to get the media streams to also show in a different tab. Well, in our case, it wouldn't be a different tab. It would be an extension, a browser extension that shows an always on top window. I think that's a pretty neat feature. I think everyone would agree, but we couldn't find a way to share the same object between two browser contexts. And I was wondering if anyone on this call had tried something like that in their development and had any tips and tricks on the matter. Because right now, the only way we can see about solving this would be to just get that always on top window to join as a separate participant. in the call.
Yeah, or with a second peer connection, and we can pass the stream through the peer connection. But
Well, no, I don't even consider that an alternative. Because it would require 2 encodings, so 2 decodings. A lot of CPU. Some people are complaining about CPU already, and if we double that, I'm not sure people would be very happy. Any tips, help on that question? Sharing objects across tabs. Anyone tried that? Okay. Well, worth trying. So let's see. Boris, would you like to talk a little bit about your progress?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working on some ICE modifications in the last few weeks, and they are finally in. What we have right now is a layer in ICE4j which abstracts away the socket implementation so that the application only sees a single socket instance from ICE4j. It can read and write to that single instance. And the library reads from all available actual sockets and decides which socket to use for sending based on where data was last received. So in a typical use case, like on MeJitsi, the client will, when doing ICE, it's going to establish a connection and a pair over UDP and also one over TCP. So the ICE4j library will keep them both alive, and it's going to use the UDP connection by default if it works, but if it goes away for some reason, then it's going to automatically switch to TCP. So that should be in now. This is work which is aimed as a first step towards actually a little more flexible scheme, which would allow us to fall back to any other pair that works. For example, if you have more than one interface and one of them goes away, we should be able to switch to the one that works right away. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to look at some optimizations to caching and retransmissions in the bridge. And that's about it. Since Brian is not here, I want to talk a little about the issue, one of the issues that he currently has, which is some crashes of the bridge in the SCTV stack that we observe. So we used to see a crash very, very rarely, say once every few months. But since we updated the bridge to 8.52 a couple of weeks ago, we saw a bunch of crashes there. And we've been trying to find out what causes this unsuccessfully so far. So if anyone has a way to reproduce a crash with the bridge, we would appreciate any tips there. Right now, I think the plan is to update the SCTP library and hope that it's fixed, because there is a PR that was merged which fixes some memory corruption bug, and we hope that that's going to fix our problem as well. But if anyone has any info on this, we would appreciate feedback. Thank you.
So I just noticed that, yep, thanks for that, Boris. I just noticed that Varun is on the call, and Pavel, would you like to reiterate what you had to say about the React Native test?
I think Varun is up to date with the subject, but yeah, the problem was that Web Crypto API is not available on React, so some polyfills would have to be added, but like we don't know the details on what the minimal functionality would be required. So Costed team said that they are going to give it a try.
Yes, I'm on the call. I'm Varun, and I think we used to have SHA.js before for a long time, and then Web Crypto came along, so wanted to reduce one dependency on a JavaScript, which we did. I think August of this year. I suppose the easiest thing to do would be to go back and like just use SHA.js in this case where Web Crypto would not exist, and try that out. Hopefully, I guess this is Christmas time already here, and people are leaving on vacation. So I think the best time we can get to this is sometime in January, and have a look at this. I think the one thing that we would need support from the team at your end is to be able to build the React Native at our side, and go through this. If your app's running and things like that, then just putting in call stats.js and seeing what happens, and seeing how much we can support the build process. Like if it's something within the build, like the call would fail or something like that, then it's very noticeable at our end, and we can put in the effort to just go through and make sure that the call shows up.
Yeah, we can make that happen. Let's try to schedule some time together as soon as you guys are back from vacation, because we already launched on Android. We haven't done any announcements. We're still waiting for the gods at Apple to understand that we're not posting and hosting any content, so there's no way for us to need to flag objectionable content. Once that's done and Meet is accepted for the Apple Store, we're going to advertise them, and it will be great to have stats at some point, because even today we have, I think, something like 500 calls and no idea about how they went. So yeah, this would be awesome. Let's schedule some time.
Congratulations first on getting this through out of the door. Is the code available somewhere?
Yeah, it's
already?
part of Jitsi Meet.
Oh, it's part of the libjitsi?
It's part of Jitsi Meet. libjitsi, we use the same version on both on Android desktop and iOS. And then the user interface for mobile is part of Jitsi Meet. So it's the same two projects. And Pablo has been working with that the most recently. So feel free to reach out to us, to him. And
we'll probably do that as soon as Karthik is back from vacations, and I think that should be that's one reason he's not on the call today, and I stepped in to do this. So he should be back around the New Year's, and then we should follow up on this. So
okay, thanks. So a couple more things that I wanted to share. Aaron, who's on the call, actually has spent some time we're working on getting Gigassi as part of our production infrastructure. And Aaron has been looking into that. And this is also why Pavel is looking into the Bosch aspects of SMAC. Aaron, please feel free to jump in if you think there's anything you'd like to share. But things are looking great. We hope that we would actually provide production running Gigassis as part of the Meet Jitsi installation. So there would be ways to call into your calls on Meet Jitsi. And that should also make it easier for everyone to consume in their own installations of Jitsi Meet. And what else am I missing?
It seems like the Jibri is stuck around a little longer, so maybe we can say Jibri works a little better now.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Oh, that's true. Aaron fixed an issue with the Jibris, which was causing the Jibri to exit pretty much every 2 minutes. At least that was the case on the last call. So, yep, that is indeed working much better. Thank you, Aaron. And
Actually, Boris reminded me that we did some work on the logging out of the JVB. So the log lines that come out of the JVB now contain certain strings that can be used to filter. So if you're doing any kind of log analysis on your video bridges, you should have a little more room to play there. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and email us or bring it up.
that's also good to share.
Is that documented anywhere, the additions to the logging?
Let's ask Boris.
Not really, but it should be, but it's very, very simple. It's just that the message part of the logs, some of them begin with cat equals for category, and we have logs that start this way, like the string I just pasted in the chat, and you can use that to filter them. That's all.
Okay, just a side note, I mean, I think one of the things that would be really helpful to add to the logging is always having the logging be under the conference ID that the conference has, because when you get 30, 40 conferences running at once, it's pretty hard to track down where the messages are, which conference the message pertains to.
Yeah, noted. So I think we'll slowly start to add categories to some messages, and as part of that, we'll also add some identification as to the conference or endpoint channel, that kind of thing.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I hear that we are experiencing an issue, so Gus, if you could hold back a little bit at the end of the call, and Aaron, you too, because apparently Gus isn't hearing you.
Sure.
I wanted to mention something else, but it is eluding me. So let's just do open mic. Is there any, would anyone like to comment on something, discuss something, ask some questions?
I had a question, if I can go first.
You can.
Okay, so we've been talking about this bridge conference stats, and I believe they work. I don't know if you guys have tested it further, one, and the second is if you've tested it further, which version of Jitsi Video Bridge would people need to download to have it?
Damien?
I need to check.
And the second question is, how can
It actually
we...
is running on beta meet Jitsi, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Damien?
I think it's running in here on Meet.
Okay. The second question I had was, how can we improve the like the change logs in a way that actually we don't keep track of which JVBs correspond to which Java libraries of ours, and we've suddenly run into issues where we're trying to second guess what might be based on we kind of vaguely know when things went out at our end and at your end. So I'm trying to see if how could we have more transparency in that. Or what can we do and to make that happen better, or document it at least better?
Well, it sounds like this lies mostly with us to get a complete changelog up and with every version. And traditionally, what we've done in this community is to just make sure that we upload the commit history as part of any release. We can probably try to also do that here. I don't know if that would be the best way. It obviously wouldn't be like personally selected triaged messages, but I guess it would be better than nothing. Yeah, let me think a little bit about this.
Cool. Yeah, so that's something that's come up, and we've been having to look back at your commit history, actually not maybe commit history, and trying to figure out where something would have rolled out. And if we've rolled it out at our end in some test instance, then we say, this is something that works with our latest version. But we do not have like a corresponding understanding of what features and when. So anything there would be quite helpful.
Yeah,
Just kind of a follow-on question to that is the download page that has the nightlies, is that the best place to get like the latest stable, or do you have a separate stable build line that we should be pulling from?
There are two repos, nightly and unstable and stable. Actually, there are three: stable, testing, and unstable. Unstable is the latest. Testing is when some internal tests, performance tests are passed. Everything is moved to testing, and the stable. I think we made it automated, but we haven't still pushed something there, so it's a little bit outdated, the stable one.
Is that just a tag or a branch in the GitHub repo?
We haven't added tagging for testing and stable, but we can add the stable tag.
Well, I guess that would be useful. And what Damien was saying is that on download git.org/stable, we would start pushing things that we actually deploy ourselves. So that is what we will consider stable and production ready. And we realized that this is a place where we weren't great in the past, and that's why we spent some good amount of time making this better. So getting the repositories to reflect the fairly recent but still stable builds was our priority. I don't think it would be that much trouble to add tagging as well if people feel that would be useful. But David, if this is if the download git.org/stable URL is maintained as up to date, would that be enough for you, or is there a use case for tagging? Would you need that in spite?
No, I mean the tagging doesn't really matter as long as I know where to pull the latest stable from. Tagging is a way that I've seen before. We use tagging as well, but if there is just a repo that I can pull from, that's fine. Download.jitsi.org/stable is where you put that. Is that correct?
Yes, and if you could just go to the Jitsi Meet page, and you would actually see in the download section we added recently the exact repository addresses and all that. So.
Okay.
So once we start pushing to stable automatically, the meta package will go there, and if you have this meta package, you can check out that tag from all the repos. So basically, there will be tagging. It will just miss the stable word in there.
Oh yeah, well that doesn't matter as long as there's a tag.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you guys create Debian packages. We kind of build from source all the time. So in that case, having a tag that has what version of source we should be pulling that is stable would be really helpful, because we don't actually pull the Debian packages.
Yeah, that would be there. There will be a tag as soon as you see the version of the meta package. You'd be able to look up that same tag across all the projects in the GitHub repositories. Am I correct, Damien?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually have a related question. I think I'm running into something quite similar. It would be very helpful to have distributables, compiled distributables that are not Debian packages, just the compiled Java stuff or the build Meet application, because I'm now constantly rebuilding everything from scratch myself as well. without making any changes most of the time. Is something like that available either in a Maven repository or a simple download directory? Anything basically?
Well, only some of those things are available in Maven. Yeah, Damien, what were you going to say?
Yeah, there are distributables for Video Bridge, and Boris can correct me, I think, and for Meet. So Jikofu, I'm not sure. I think there are no distributables for Jikofu.
Do we actually ship even the native code in the distributables?
Yes, there are, for the Video Bridge, there are different archives.
Damien, could you please add that to our download links in all on all the projects to make sure that
I will.
we point people to Maven too? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would be. Perhaps there is stuff that I simply didn't find yet, so links would be very good.
Okay. Anything else?
Just one other question. So in Jitsi Video Bridge, when it generates conferences and channels, right now it just kind of does a random UUID, or I think it does it from the timestamp. Has any thought been given to being able to set conference IDs or channel IDs for an external ID?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't follow the question.
Sorry. So when you create a conference and you add channels to the conference, the IDs of those conferences and channels are generated based on timestamp. And has any thought been given to being able to set those IDs to instead of being randomly generated? Because like in our case, we always map a channel to an XMPP user, which is a JID. And then we have to maintain a map, an internal map of channel IDs to JIDs, basically allowing the channel ID to be the endpoint ID.
I'm not sure if that is currently supposed to work. Have you actually tried to set your own IDs?
Yeah, it doesn't work because of the. I mean, I'd be happy to code it up, but right now, if you pass in a stanza that doesn't have an ID on it, then it's an add channel. If you pass in one that has an ID, then it's expected to be a patch operation, right? So that flow will have to change a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it works. I was just, So
it wouldn't be a huge thing to do through like the REST interface, because you could just do a put, and if you do a put with an ID, then it sets the channel to the ID, and if you do a patch with the ID, it obviously patches. But if you don't provide one, it could randomly generate an ID, so that both code paths would work.
Yeah, so I can't think of a reason why we would not want to have this right now. Okay. But I'd also like to hear what Lubo thinks about it, because he's the one that knows that part the best, and he's currently on vacation until the end of the year.
No worries.
We also use endpoint IDs, and actually the bridge has been the bridge is also using them in a bunch of places. So we never really found it a pain to have the two. But I guess if it is a pain for you guys, then
it's not really a pain. It's just we have a custom focus controller that controls our conferences, and in order to not maintain two different sets of data where we have to have a mapping of channel IDs to JIDs, we want the video bridge itself to be the source of truth for who's on what channel. So being able to set the channel ID instead of having to map a channel ID to an endpoint ID would be ideal, so that you don't end up with race conditions where you're updating one data store and you're updating the media server at different times.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm not opposed to this, but and especially if you say that you're willing to submit a patch about this, but let's just get back to it right after New Year's, to talk about it with Lubo as well,
Sure.
in case he can think
Yeah,
of a problem.
just one thing to consider here. We need to handle this on the XMPP interface as well, where right now we don't have a way to differentiate between put and patch.
Right, and what I was thinking with that one is on the XMPP stanzas, we could add some type of action type. We actually do this right now as we overload our XMPP stanzas. We kind of maintain our own custom version of the bridge to handle this stuff, where it's like a conference create or a channel add or a channel remove. Very straightforward actions that are easy to key off of. They're also very easy to log so that you know exactly what's going on. It makes the state management a lot cleaner. Would you guys be opposed to that, some kind of approach like that?
I think that makes sense. I think what we were considering a long time ago when we discussed this was just creating a channel if there's an ID and it doesn't exist, which doesn't work because it could be that the channel expired and we should just return an error in this case.
Yeah, and I was thinking we could just add a suggested ID in the stanza that we use for creating a bridge, for creating a channel, which would make it work everywhere.
The only reason I was thinking about adding the actual Calibri kind of like action type is because it makes it very easy on the bridge to handle explicit errors. Because if you get a stanza in of a channel that's already, if you get a stanza that has an ID of a channel that's already expired, you don't know if that's going to be, if someone's trying to create one and they passed in an ID, or if they
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it would be almost like extending the Calibri spec a little bit to have an action in there so that anything you do is explicit and it can be handled very explicitly within the video bridge itself.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess we would want to go through with that just as soon as we validate it after New Year's.
Okay, I can kind of write up a proposed extension to the spec for both the REST and the XMPP, and then that'll give us something to at least discuss.
Yep, that's great. Thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Camilo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Good to
So
meet you.
I have two questions. The first one, you changed recently, maybe last month, the moderation rights here at meet.gitsy.
Yes.
Where have these changes happened? Like I could not find in gcofo. Were like a prosody change?
Yeah, that's a module in prosody. I believe, Aaron, do we have that committed currently as part of Meet?
I doubt it. I don't think we're providing that out to the public at the moment, although we probably should be.
I actually think maybe we're not, because we actually used some existing module.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're doing is, I think I don't remember who wrote that, but we're using a prosody module that sets everyone as a moderator. So it's not anything Meet specific. It's we just make sure that the XMPP permissions are set and then Meet picks it up. I'm not sure if we explicitly disable the star. I think we do.
Yes.
Aaron, is that in the config.js here? Because the point being that if everyone is a moderator, then we don't need to show that to people.
The star option, I think it's in interface config.
Okay, well, there's that. Yeah, I guess we could try to add can anyone remember right now where we took the prosody module from that changes permissions?
Wasn't that Sam that wrote it?
No, I think Sam got it from somewhere. He said, "Oh, so and so has already written such a module."
No idea.
And we just took it from there. But we might publish it in our repository for convenience
I think
reasons.
we may have made some slight changes to it and then just do our own version. So I suggest that we do publish it into the Jitsi Meet prosody package, if nothing else.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Aaron, could you take that as an action item for the next call?
Yep.
Thank you very much. And that provides us with extra motivation for making sure that we go through with your proposal as a developer.
So the second question is about, like, sometimes I have a conference with like 4 or 5 people, and someone can't hear the other persons, or sometimes it can, but it cannot be heard. Is this probably audio mixing problem?
Well, we actually have this very problem here. Gus, other than Aaron, have you heard anyone else who you don't hear?
You can't hear anyone that you can't hear, but I think I hear everyone but Aaron.
Except for
I'm
Aaron.
interested in if Aaron can hear me.
Yeah, I can definitely hear Gus, but Gus cannot hear me apparently.
Aaron said that he can hear you.
So we've actually, this is Dave Ertl again, we've actually experienced this problem on our side quite a bit. We kind of call it ghosting because somebody's in a room and you can't hear them. We've found that on the client side, it's when the client gets notified of a new stream source that's being added, but they don't have a stream source to match it to. So the client doesn't know who the source belongs to and they're throwing it away. So that on our side, that's a client problem. But it sounds like you guys are having the same issue.
So in our side, it's a little bit weirder because it's only for some people. So you would get these islands like everyone can hear Aaron and Gus can hear everyone except for Aaron. So
yeah, it's like that for me too.
Yeah, traditionally this has been caused by our lip sync hacks. And to give everyone some context, we basically discovered that so Chrome has this bug where it needs to get video packets in order to start playing the audio packets for a given media stream. So we started seeing problems with this as soon as we introduced lip sync, which basically comes down to making sure that we signal audio and video as part of the same media stream. And then suddenly when people mute themselves, which in our case leads to not sending any video packets, well, they don't hear anyone. I'm sorry. Then if you come at a point where the person has already muted themselves, but you haven't seen any video packets for them, then you want the Chrome wouldn't play the audio, even though you're getting it. And in order to solve this, we added this black frame hack in Jitsi Video Bridge, where if a new channel is created for a new user that joins something and no video packets arrive, we send a black keyframe just to unblock Chrome. But then that led to other problems where actually it didn't cover certain cases where we think there's video, but it actually turns out that it's only VP8 padding packets that reach Chrome, but that do not reach the jitter buffer in order to unblock audio. So it's this endless array of issues that all come from this Chrome bug where audio doesn't play unless there's video. So we're going to keep looking into that. That's the short version of it.
Pardon me, what?
I'm sorry, you guys both at the same time.
What did you say last? I didn't hear well.
I said that. Oh wow. Okay. I said that we're going to continue looking into it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Have we ruled out Dave's suggestion of missing sources?
Me?
No, the question is for everyone, I think. I don't believe that we have explicitly ruled it out, and we can check that right after the call, actually. Gus, could you please save your WebRTC internals? And Aaron, could you please also save yours?
If you tell me how to, I will.
We've also seen the audio issue where if you don't have video frames, it can cause issues with the audio playing. So I think that might be fixed in Chrome 56. There's a handful of audio bugs that they're fixing in Chrome 56. So,
well, the bug is still open. They actually fixed it at one point, and then someone decided that this breaks some other compatibility issue with the video tag, so they reverted it.
Right.
And I'm not even sure that they're trying to fix the right place, because they seem to treat it as if it's a video tag problem, but it's clearly something in the WebRTC stack. So I'm not even sure that we're talking about the same issue. And yeah, the situation isn't particularly hopeful. And Gus Boris is, I don't know. I thought Boris was sending instructions, but no. Okay. Is there anything else, or can we move to the debugging part of this call?
I actually have another question.
Go ahead, Gus.
I am still working on OF Meet, and the last thing that I had hoped was the easiest thing was update the UI end of things. OF Meet simply wraps Jitsi Meet. But then somewhere in the summer, you guys decided to move to React, which proved out to be quite a change. I've supplied a pull request, which makes most of the code work with a context that's different than the root context. So instead of where, like on this call, where your root name is the root context of the URL, we need it to be a little bit deeper. But either in that patch or in the way I'm packaging Meet in OF Meet, something is going wrong. I only see black pages. I'm not too familiar with React at all, so I'm looking for help for someone who can help me debug this problem.
Well, again, Lubo is the one mainly responsible there. I think Christo maybe can also have some ideas, but what I'd suggest is, have you already posted about this on the mailing list?
No, I want to wait until this call.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to answer that. Maybe we'd have to wait for Lubo on that one too. You can, yeah, I suggest posting first thing next year about this, and then bringing it up again on the first call next year to see if someone can help.
Is someone available to review that PR that I made? Because that has most of, or that has all of my changes. I'm pretty sure that they are complete. I think I'm simply missing something in the React stuff. I don't know if anyone.
Is it a big change or?
No, it's quite.
Damien, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to check because I saw that the PR has merge conflicts. Did you?
I fixed that this morning.
Okay.
So it should not have. If
Okay.
it still does, then I second time around.
Itza, could you please have a look at that patch and see if anything comes out as a problem?
Yeah. Where actually was the patch? I didn't get it.
I will
Can
tell
I-
you after the call.
Okay. Was the
Can you say again?
Yeah, we'll discuss it after the call.
Okay.
Okay. Open mic again. Sounds like silence. In that case, thank you, everyone. Boris, you can stop the recording, and let's just make sure we get Gus's and Aaron's logs. So Gus, in a separate tab, just go to Chrome :